This is the birthplace of the Bohemian Revolution from Cowork 591 Studios. This is the Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network with co-host Dale Rueber and producer Blake Tempus. I am Jim Gillespie, and this is the Jesup News for May 8th, 2023. Someone asked, what or who is a Bohemian, Dale?
Well, who's the most famous Bohemian ever?
Good question.
Maynard G. Krebs, don't you think?
Well, see, the argument of what a Bohemian is, Dale. Let's talk about what a Bohemian is here before we get too far.
Bull hunks, or is that against the rules?
Oh,
that's something else.
That may be something that we have to talk about off air.
I knew that because I knew a lady who was one. That's how she always referred to herself. So I'm not being bad here. So.
All right,
go ahead. A Bohemian. I don't. It's an alternative lifestyle kind of thing.
It is sort of.
I've never really looked it up. But
it's
just they're a little different. Not different weird, but just different. They look at things in a different way.
It's an art scene. Here you go. This is on my blog. I have a blog called My Life in the Amish Air Force. Okay. And if you get a chance, go to that blog. But this
Amish Air Force.
My Life in the Amish Air Force.
Okay.
My students used to ask me, Dale, what am I going to do when I retired? And I told them I was going to be a pilot in the Amish Air Force. And they would look at me with wide eyes, like, "What are you talking about? They don't fly airplanes."
Yeah.
And
there's an electric Amish band or something. Have you ever heard of that?
I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't.
I will look that up for you to get the title right. So.
But anyhow, this is from the May 23rd, 2011 blog post of My Life in the Amish Air Force.
Okay.
I was raised in northern Iowa, not far from a small town called Protovan. It is Protovan where I learned to speak a limited amount of Czech from the 300 inhabitants. The majority of the ancestors of these wonderful people actually came from the region of Bohemia and Eastern Europe. There are a few places in the world where I have eaten better food and met nicer people than in Protovan. Mm-hmm. Needless to say, this was how I viewed what a Bohemian was. Over the years, on numerous occasions, people have called me a Bohemian, and I was flattered. Here's how Wikipedia defines Bohemian, and because it is on the internet, Dale, it can't be wrong.
No, Abraham Lincoln once said, "Don't believe everything you read on the internet."
All right. All right. The term has become associated with various artistic. That's why I say birthplace of the Bohemian Revolution, because it is artistic. Okay. Artistic or academic communities, and is used as a generalized adjective describing such people, environs, and situations. Bohemian, boho, from the 1950s, as you talked about. Informal is defined in the American College Dictionary as a person with artistic or intellectual tendencies who lives and acts with no regard for conventional rules or behavior. Okay? So, like, we want to have a house where artists live together for relatively little or no expenses. And that is a Bohemian type of lifestyle.
Sure, okay.
Many prominent European and American figures of the last 150 years belong to the Bohemian subculture, and any comprehensive list of Bohemians would be tediously long. Bohemians have been approved by some bourgeoisie writers, such as Henri de Balzac, but most conservative culture critics do not condone Bohemian lifestyles. So many conservative lifestyles don't condone our show here either.
Is that right? Okay.
I've heard that.
Lots of letters complaining.
Yeah. Okay. Any letter is a good letter, Dale.
Well, sure.
We welcome letters that complain.
You can be the first one to send us a letter.
The New York Times columnist David Brooks contends that much of the cultural ethos, what he semi-humorously terms upper-class Americans, meaning well-to-do middle-class people, is Bohemian derived, coining the paradoxical term bourgeoisie Bohemians or bohos.
Okay.
The Bombshell Manual of Style author Lawrence Stover breaks down the Bohemian into 5 distinct mindset styles in Bohemian Manifesto, a field guide to living on the edge. So if you want to be a Bohemian, here's how you do it. Get this book. Okay. The Bohemian is not easily classified like species of birds, writes Stover, noting that there are crossovers and hybrids. The 5 types devised by Stover are the Nouveau, Bohemian with money, who attempt to join the traditional Bohemians with contemporary culture. So basically the new Bohemians.
Okay, they're the ones that have money.
Yeah, they are the ones that have money.
All right.
The second one is the gypsy. Now, gypsy is supposedly become a derogatory term now, but it is a group of people from Eastern Europe, near Bohemia.
I remember my grandmother telling me about gypsies, that they would travel around, they would steal children.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought, I think she was trying to get me to stay close to the house, but that was still, halfway modern in the 50s, I guess. But,
These are drifters, neo-hippies, and others with nostalgia for previous romanticized eras.
Okay.
Then there is the beatniks, the beats.
Okay, that's what.
Also drifters, but non-materialist and art-focused. Jack Kerouac, the one that we talked about earlier before the show.
They had the coffee houses that wore black and played the bongos and
there you go.
chanted poetry.
Yes.
Okay.
Then there are the Zen Bohemians, post-beatniks, focused on spirituality rather than art.
Okay.
And the dandy. The dandies have given the Bohemians a bad name. They don't believe in money, but try to appear as if they have it by buying and displaying expensive or rare items, such as brands of alcohol. In the United States, the Bohemian impulse can be seen in the 1960s hippie counterculture, which in turn informed by the Beat Generation via writers such as William S. Burroughs, Allen Ginsberg, and Jack Kerouac.
Okay.
Rainbow gatherings may be seen as another contemporary worldwide expression of the Bohemian impulse. An American example is Burning Man, an annual participatory art festival held in the Nevada desert. So that, Dale, the Bohemians are artists. Che Guevara was from a Bohemian family in Argentina.
Okay.
And they are some unique people. That is what Bohemians are. Remember, the Steve Brown Arts Center is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that has a vision for artists young and old alike to have the opportunity to better themselves while helping to build the skills of those around them. It will be offering community programming starting in Jesup before expanding to neighboring communities. Programming will include a community speaker series that will showcase existing creatives who reside within our community, as well as pop-up series that will spotlight and partner with local businesses to provide the opportunity for community engagement. The long-range vision is to house a rural artist residency program for professional and emerging artists in all areas of arts and the humanities. On tonight's show, we talk with Dave Bishop, Jesup Councilman. We have another segment of Winners and Losers. We do the second segment of Og Mandino's book on how to be successful. We look at conspiracy theories. We give you the top stories in Jesup, and we discuss service and art. It's a full episode. Dale, before we go on, you said you had another trivia question. Do you want to tell us what that trivia question
I do,
is?
and see if you can get this. It's the 3 most oft-quoted men. Okay, I'll give you 2. You tell me the third one. Okay?
Okay.
So Jesus and Shakespeare are the first 2. Who's the third one?
All right.
Most quoted men.
I
I'll buy you ice
have
cream cone if you get this.
I have ESPN. Blake has ESPN the magazine, and Dale, you have ESPN too. Okay.
Right.
So I'm going to guess: is this Julius Caesar?
No, it's not Julius Caesar. No, it's not
Dang.
Julius Caesar. No.
Okay.
Well, here it is.
Well, if this is a trivia question, we don't want to tell the people. We want them to get a hold of us so that they can win.
Okay. You think you can win?
They can win.
All right. I will keep quiet then.
All right. Remember next
The three
week.
most quoted men:
Okay.
Shakespeare, Jesus, and. Okay.
Interesting.
Yes.
Do you have a quote by them? Do you have one quote by them to give the audience a little?
They would give it away, but I will do it.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
If you come to a fork in the road, take it.
Yes. Yes. All right. If you come to a fork in the road, take it.
Yes.
That does give it away. But we have some baseball fans that like when you talk baseball, Dale, so they're going to get it.
All right. Okay.
It's going to break some of their hearts that it's that person. But
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Actually, I talk about it next time maybe, but much more to this person than meets the eye. There'd be a nice long article about him in the paper. I don't just think these out pull them out of the air. I have to read them someplace and then bring them here, hoping that nobody else is reading the newspaper.
Right?
Okay. All right. No, I hope it'd be nice if people would answer these things.
Yes. Yes.
So, okay. I had another one last week. We didn't get to it. I'll do it now. Okay.
Sure, if you want to.
What business is now located in the old Kabad's Cafe? And if you regularly watch our podcast, you will know the answer. So, what business is now located in the old Kabad's Cafe? So,
Okay, that's a good challenge. Like you said, Dale says, if you pay attention to our podcast, which
Yes.
the numbers are up, Mr. Rueber. The
right.
numbers are up.
Okay.
Yep. In library news this week, Little Todd's Story Time meets every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. for songs and stories and more. The Spice Club, the May Spice is Caraway this month. The book club is Exiles by Christina Baker Klein, and the books are available in the Jesup Public Library. They will meet to discuss that book May 15th at 1 p.m. That's Monday at 1 p.m., May 15th. Special Saturday story time, Saturday, May 20th at 10:30. Join us for Piggy story time with pork producers of Buchanan County for stories, activities, and piggy fun. I wonder if they're going to have like pork sandwiches, Dale.
I don't know if you could have piggy fun and then have pork sandwiches. That wouldn't be good.
All right.
That wouldn't be good. So.
Don't forget to support the Friends of Jesup Public Library. They also have a number of things you can check out there. Not only books, but cookie cutters and activity bags, etc. Don't forget the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. Also 1,000 books before kindergarten. The new bestsellers at JPL include Dark Angel by John Sanford, Simply Lies by David Baldacci, Homecoming by Kate Morton, I Will Find You by Harlan Coben, Countdown by James Patterson, Stormwatch by C.J. Box, The Endless Survivors by Megan Miranda, Trees of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson, and Spear by Prince Harry, who is going home for his father's coronation. Thank you. I was going to say swearing in, but coronation. Thank you.
I was going to tell people if you're a big John Sanford fan, which I am, you need to call in quick to get on the list, because I called in right after our program last week. You mentioned that book next day, and he went, "We'll put you on the list." So somebody already got it out there, and so. But yeah, he's an excellent author. He writes out of Minnesota, and so a lot of the things he writes about, I've been there, and so. But he's that C.J. Box has one. I read all of his stuff too. So very good. Recommend them highly.
Okay, very good. The second step to success from Og Mandino, the greatest salesman in the world,
Okay.
is
I thought it was Fred Smock down at Dunlap's, but not the case, I guess. Okay.
Mandino talks about this, and I really love this. My cousin is going through some tough times out in Green Mountain Falls, Colorado, and we talked about this actually today. The second step to success is I will greet each day with love in my heart. And we as a culture have changed drastically as a society. We are people that want and have become wanters. And we ask for things, and the Mandino talks about how if you want to change the world, if you want to become a better person, if you want to be a success, show love. Go out, reach out, and welcome people into your surroundings. One of the things I've been doing, Dale, and I advise the listeners to do this, is I have 300. We're all attached to our cell phones, and I have 300 contacts on my cell phone, and I got to thinking. Would have been, a couple weeks ago. People only call me when they want something, and I was feeling sorry for myself, and I started thinking, well, is that why you call people? Is because you want something? And so my goal became to call 3 people a day and just see how they're doing. Just tell them I'm not calling and asking them for anything.
Yeah.
I want to make sure you're all right. And actually, a couple people cried when I called them. People need to know that other people care, Dale.
No, I think you're right. And I'm very remiss about that kind of thing myself. I don't reach out like I should. And I have a daughter the same way, and I think she got it from me, but it's difficult for me to make cold calls. Like if I call you just to chat out of the blue, I always have this thing, well, he's in the shower, or he's changing the baby's diaper or something.
Right.
It's a bad time, but and it always, I've been this way since I was very young, but it's phone phobia probably is the best. So I have trouble if you tell me, give me a call, then I'll call you and I'll talk all day, but it's those cold calls that really are harder for me to make. And so texting then takes, because a lot of times I'll just text and say, call me when you have a minute.
Right.
So that's been a blessing for me.
One thing that I'm real proud of, Dale, the last year that I taught, I had 120 kids, and that was about an average. I always had freshman and sophomore world perspectives, world cultures. So it was about 60 in each class. And that year, I wrote a letter to each of my students, a handwritten letter to each of my students' parents, and complimenting their children and
really
thanking
nice.
for them. And, it was just one a day. It wasn't that hard, and it was 2 or 3 paragraphs. It wasn't long. It was on the size of a thank you note, and I was real proud of that.
Oh, sure, I think it should be.
And Dale, people want and need happiness in their life.
Yeah.
So the first 2 steps, if you remember last week's step, is today I begin a new life, and then this week's step is I will greet each day with love in my heart, and it's not a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
So that is Og Mandino's greatest salesman in the world, and I will give you the 3rd step next week.
Okay. You probably never had to teach like telephone safety or anything. This is before all the phones we have now. And one of the main things was to the kids is if you answer the phone, never tell anybody that you're home by yourself, that your parents are gone. And this little boy, he raised his hand, and if I told you who he was, you would know right away. But he said that he answered the phone, And the guy wanted to talk to his dad. And he said, well, my dad's not able to come to the phone. And what's he doing? Well, he's taking a bath. And the guy said, well, okay, well, can I talk to your mom? And he says, no. He says, she's taking a bath too. And I knew both his parents very, very well, but I never said anything to them. I tell you, teaching sometimes is a lot of fun.
It was. Truly was. This week, sponsored by White Funeral Home, we have one obituary. That is Delphine A. Blunt. Delphine A. Blunt was 94 years old of Jesup, Iowa, formerly of Gilbertville, Iowa. Died of natural causes Saturday, April 22nd at Unity Point Allen Memorial Hospital. Delphine A. Meisch was born July 2nd, 1928 in Gilbertville, Iowa, the daughter of Philip W. Meisch and Clara A. Schmidt Meisch. She attended Immaculate Conception Catholic School in Gilbertville. On June 1st, 1948, she was united in marriage to James Francis Blunt in Gilbertville, Iowa. They made their home in rural Black Hawk County, where they farmed and raised their family. Delphine was a member of the IC Catholic Church, Gilbertville. Delphine is survived by 4 daughters: Margaret Hart of Keller, Texas; Luann Kinsella of Bethany, Oklahoma; Joan Mike Campsey of Gretna, Nebraska; and Patricia and Matt Goodwin of Des Moines, Iowa. 2 sons, Dennis Blunt of Eagle Center, Iowa, and John Blunt of Ladysmith, Wisconsin. One daughter-in-law, Julie Blunt of Jesup, Iowa. 25 grandchildren, 39 great-grandchildren, and many nieces and nephews. She's preceded in death by her parents, her husband, James Francis Blunt, 1 daughter, Sarah Riley, 2 sons, Richard Blunt, James Patrick Blunt, 1 grandson, Austin Brewer, and 1 sister, Regina Mangrich, 1 brother, Joseph Meisch, and son-in-law, Steve Hart. Memorials can be directed to Immaculate Conception Catholic Church.
You start thinking about how old you are, but then, that lady, she got married when I was 1 year old. Mm-hmm. And that, it just, I don't know, everything you got to put into perspective, I guess.
You do. It is. The years go by, don't they?
I was in the drugstore the other day, and a kid came in to get a prescription, and they asked for his birth date, and it was 2003. I thought, holy cow! I said, well, you were born in the 2000s, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Time marches on. Okay, our guest this evening is David Bishop, and David is here because we do a lot with volunteer work, and David is well known in the community for volunteering to work with the city on the city council and spend a term as mayor, and he also is involved with a group called the Patriot Guard, right?
Riders.
Okay, Riders? Mm-hmm. The Patriot Guard Riders, or just the Patriot Riders?
Patriot Guard Riders.
Patriot Guard Riders, okay.
Yep.
And you have that covered up on your shirt, so I couldn't read it. See, I was depending on that, and you missed me up. Well, I've known David a long time, but like Gillespie and I came to Jesup because we had work here. Can you tell us how you and Denise ended up in Jesup?
Well, my wife and I were originally from Iowa, and we had moved back in 1985 down to Texas. And I got on the police department there in Mesquite, Texas, worked there for it was 10 years. And then we decided it was time to move back to Iowa. My mom was quite ill, so we thought we'd move back so I could help take care of her. Uh-huh. And that's how we ended back up in Iowa. And when we did, of course, we were starting to look for a house. And we rented a place north of town on a farm. And I continued looking and went through other cities and came into Jesup. And we didn't know anybody at all. Mm-hmm. We pulled into Jesup and just cruising around, checking out the houses. And this was in probably the fall, maybe the winter, it was December, January maybe. And people walking up and down the street, going into the stores, they waved at us. And I'm like, wow, they don't even know us, and they're waving. I like that.
Yeah.
So, the time went on and we kept looking for houses, and the weather got a little bit warmer, but still people would wave as you drove by, and I'd wave back. I'm a waver, And long story short, we bought a house up on Holly Street, and we've been there since 1995, I believe it is.
Okay, so longer than the time goes by, but you've been here quite a while.
Yes, and we just love Jesup.
Okay.
The people here in town and everything, it's just a beautiful small city. I really love it. It's.
And so, were you working at anything then after you moved here? Or?
Yeah, I got on Blackhawk County Sheriff's Department.
Okay.
When I came back from Texas and worked there for 11 years, and then I injured my knee and had to take a disability retirement, and then after that, I guess people thought that I'm retired, I'm available.
Yeah.
So it went that way.
Yeah. How did you find is police work in Iowa different than police work in like Mesquite, Texas?
It is. Of course, Iowa, more rural, especially Blackhawk County. In Mesquite, we were a southeast suburb of Dallas. Mm-hmm. Population was 120-some thousand population. On our department, I was a senior canine handler. We had 3 canine teams on the department, and each shift had an approximately 18 officers on each shift. Mm-hmm. And it was always busy. I mean, the only time it wasn't really busy was if it was raining, this type of thing. Yeah. But you were running. There was a lot of times when you get a break for supper and it wasn't like 10 o'clock and you were getting off shift at 11. Mm-hmm. But it's, and not that it's not busy here, but it was just a faster pace, of course, larger area.
Was there one kind of thing that was you had to handle more often than others, or?
Well, being the canine, we were busy with the tactical unit or SWAT team, whatever you want to call it, and the narcotics people.
Yeah.
And we would work with them a lot. And then as our reputation, you might say, grew, we got called over to Dallas. We got called over north of Dallas to Denton County Sheriff's Department. We worked with the Texas Rangers. It was busy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, when you came to Iowa, you had some of those dogs with you, or one or two?
I had
Were
my
they
one
working dogs that you had worked with.
My one service dog that I worked with, my partner Alano. Mm-hmm. And when we knew we were going to move back to Iowa, I explained to the chief down there that I wasn't leaving my partner there. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. He was coming with me because we were partners, for 5 years. 6 years in the squad car. And he said, well, let me talk to the city manager. Well, long story short, they sold Alano to me for $1 just to keep everything above board. Yeah. So that's the best $1 bill I ever spent.
And how long did Alano survive when you came to Iowa? How much longer did he live?
It was probably a year that happened, and it wasn't because of a health reason. Like I said, we were living out in the country, and what we figured out was he was in a kennel outside under a shade tree and everything. This is in summer, and somebody came on a motorcycle, tried to kick in the door of the house, the farmhouse. Alano saw that, and he literally broke through the gate on the kennel and chased the person on the motorcycle. We saw the footprints on the door where he kicked it in. We saw the motorcycle tires going out. And my wife had come home and said she found Alano passed away by one of the side buildings. So I rushed home quick and found out that he died of heat stroke. He chased this person on the motorcycle until he got hot and then came back and passed away.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
So that was tough.
Yeah.
Right.
Still had it in him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So it must have been quite a transition time. You know, for people's bad, but for animals also. Though.
It was. It was because you spend 8 to 10 hours or more in a car with them, and they're your backup. You know, you depend on them,
Yeah.
and they depend on you. You know, and I could tell you all kinds of stories, but but it was the best job I ever had, being a canine handler.
Okay. And did you work with canines at all back in Blackhawk
Back
County?
in county, no. I had my expertise there, my certificates, but I never had the opportunity to do that.
Sure.
So,
Okay. So was it after you retired that you got involved with, we'll say, local politics? Or?
yeah, it was after I did my medical leave, you know, with my knee and everything. I was asked one time if I'd be interested in running for city council. And it caught me by surprise because we were still fairly new, you know, been here.
Okay, so nothing happened that made you interested or wanted?
No,
Okay, it was,
no, I was just
just an innocent bystander. Yes.
enjoying life, you know.
Yeah.
And somebody came up to me and asked me if they would, and they talked to me about it. And so I talked it over with my wife, Denise, and we decided, yeah, let's do it. You know, by then we were acclimated with the way the city runs. You know, we were getting so used to the people. You know, it was a nice place to live. And we thought, we're going to live here the rest of our lives. Why not help them out if we can, you know, help somebody out. So we I ran, and I got elected to 4 years in the city council.
Oh, we talked about this off air, but we haven't talked about it on air. How many years have you been involved in city government here in Jesup?
Total of 10 years. 8 years, each term for city council is 4 years. Mayor is 2 years, so I'd be finishing up my second term in December. That'll make 8 years total on the city council and 2 years as mayor.
And what's been most gratifying about it for you?
I believe just helping with the infrastructure for the city, improving the services a lot. You know, as cities grow, things don't get forgotten about, but like, you know, the sewer systems, water systems, we've gotten to where we're improving everything now, and right now we're doing a lot of improvement on water and sewer pipes, getting everything up to date.
Yeah.
And then also working with the public safety departments, getting new equipment for them that they really need and really deserve. And that's been a plus for me.
You know, those services the city supplies, I mean, they're not glamorous things, but they are the nuts and bolts of
Right.
a community, and very, very important.
It's
and I think people don't give enough credit to how important they are.
It's the meat and potatoes of how a city runs.
Right.
You know, it's not all glamorous, you know, out there, you know, kissing babies and everything. You know, you've got to run the city in a justifiable way for the citizens and do it as economically as you can. Sometimes you can't, but that's the way the ball drops.
We talked with Mayor Even 2 weeks ago, and we mentioned that it seemed like everything just kind of going along. Right now, there's no drama
Right.
in City Hall. And have you noticed that? Is that a
Yeah.
change? Because for a while there, it seemed like there was something all the time that was, just like an irritation.
Yeah, just something biting you all the time. And I don't want to jinx myself, but these 4 years has been really rewarding. Working with the people we have on the board, on the city council, and Mayor Even is really progressive. And if something's not going to fit us financially, he won't push it. And he never really, he doesn't have a personal agenda. He brings everything up to us. I like that. It lets us discuss things.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's, and if we decide it's not going to work, we tell him, and we're okay with that. It's just, we don't leave the city hall like we're going to kick you in the butt or something because you didn't approve that. It's everybody wants to do something what's the best for the city and for the citizens here.
So, how much? And this is a bad question probably, but since you're getting off, how much work is there involved? We're trying to get people to run. It's one of our things is we want people to volunteer, and you have an open seat now. Just how much is involved, and what's maybe the hardest part or the worst part of the job, or any comments on that?
Well, with years ago when they had budget hearings, that was tough. That took a lot of time, but now our city clerk and the mayor have gotten together with department heads and done it on their own, one at a time. And so it's brought to the city council for approval or disapproval. And that has really taken a lot off of our shoulders, you might say, instead of having meetings every week for 2 or 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
It has really helped a lot with that.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed with everyone that works in City Hall. You go in there, and everyone is concerned. They work hard, but they're also respectful and kind.
And they're friendly, and you can go in there. I've been in there just to check on some mail or something, and they're in there addressing somebody who comes in with a complaint or a bill, and I gotta say our city clerk and deputy city clerk are really awesome.
Yeah, I think so too.
They really are. They're people persons, and they know how to react with people and discuss things civilly, and I like that.
So people always worry about the dreaded constituent phone call at home. Have you got many of those, or?
Oh yeah. and I've had. Well, I don't get a whole lot of them, but I get a few. I guess my share, and I don't mind. Every time I've called, or somebody has called me and had a question for me or a complaint or an issue, they start to apologize. Well, I hate to call you at home.
Yeah.
And I tell them, hey, I'm here. I'm here for you, for anybody who wants to call me. Just don't call me after 10 o'clock at night. I need my beauty sleep.
Yeah. Most Iowans know that.
Yeah. But I do not mind them calling me about an issue that may come up or a complaint. And I always, and I don't know, I guess it was my parents taught me this. I always tell them, I will get back with you with an answer. If I can't find an answer, I will tell you. I will call you and tell you I can't find an answer, but I will call you back.
Right.
And I've always done that. And I really believe from the feedback I get from the people who've called me, they appreciate that.
Well, I'm sure they do.
Instead of just dropping the ball and who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I know there's not very many things I've ever said about, but every now and then I see you and I say, it's nice to know somebody that's on the council that you see and you can mention. Have you thought about this, or did you hear about that, or whatever? And you've always been real good about
appreciate it, but that's just me. We're there for the citizens, and I know that probably sounds political thing, but that's the way I feel. We're there for the people in the city, and if they have a question, I've always told them, you can call me. I don't care what time it is. If it's a reasonable time, don't fret about it.
Yeah. So overall, I'm getting the vibe that all in all, it's been an enjoyable experience for you to volunteer to be on the council and to serve as mayor for a couple of years. So
yes, it really has. It's been really good, I got to admit.
Okay.
And I would urge anybody to do that. And if you think about, getting on the city council or putting your name on the ballot, don't expect to go in there with a personal agenda. Well, I want something happened over here. I'll just get on city council and do that. That's not the way it works. Yeah. It's a city council board has to approve everything, and if you can go in there with an open mind, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
And
good
then
advice for almost everything, isn't it?
Yeah. And be civil with people. If they call and they're kind of irate type of thing, just kind of calm them down. And of course I've had more training in most people
Right,
trying
right.
to do that, you know. But it's a good thing to get into the city council because you learn a lot about city government.
You know, I'm sure you've heard of the book Utopia. I believe it was Thomas More that wrote it. And in that book, he says everyone should be involved in local government for 6 years.
Right.
You know,
Just to see how the machine works.
yeah.
And what it takes to work. And I've learned so much in these few years, you know, how this works, and well, you just can't do this. You've got to go through this, you know, and I guess I'm the senior one on the city council right now, so it's come in handy because some of the younger members, you know, can we do this, or what would you suggest? You know, I said, well, you can do this, but you got to, you know.
Yeah.
So it helps.
Well, when you read the councilman, they talk about what millage and this
Yeah.
and that. And I said, do they have a little school that explains what all that is, or
You can,
you just learn by doing, or?
Usually you learn by doing, but you can also go to the Iowa government of municipalities has schools after the elections
Yeah.
usually, and you can go there and attend usually about a day or 2 day class
Yeah.
and learn a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
But thankfully, we're blessed here in Jesup with our city clerk and deputy city clerk again that know that stuff. They know where to look for the answers, and then they can get back to us, refer back to us, and that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. My biggest thing was, I don't know what I was helping out with, but I had to go to the city council meeting, and they used initials, you know, like Megma is this and MAB is that, and then I say, I'm sorry, you got to tell me what those mean because I
Right.
had no idea, and so they had to slow down for me so I understood. And you feel a little awkward there because everybody knows what you're talking about except you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so those kind of things.
And that's, you know, when you ask them that, they don't mind,
Yeah.
you know, explaining that to
Yeah.
you. And that's, you know, that's what,
Well, the hard part is admitting that you don't know what they're talking
Yeah.
about and asking the question. Because,
being on the city council, yeah, it's tough to admit to a person who calls you that, you know, I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
But if I call back, again, like I said, I sound repetitive, I'll call you back whether I can find an answer or not. But if you tell them that I couldn't find an answer, at least you're being upfront with them, being them honest with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Okay, we'd like to switch gears a little bit to,
Okay.
you're involved with the Patriot Guard Riders.
right.
And would you like to tell a little bit of history about how that organization was started and why it was started? Or I find that very interesting. Because
I'd
I've
love
talked
to.
with you about that before.
I'd love to. It began in the Patriot Guard Riders. Let me premise that is a national organization. At the present time, there are roughly 329,000 members nationwide. With each state has a Patriot Guard unit. So anyway, it started back in 2015, I believe it was. This church down in Kansas would protest. That was when Afghanistan was a war zone and the KIA, or Killed in Actions, military would come back to get buried. The family would be there, their friends. These people, this Westboro Baptist Church down in Kansas, they would attend and protest at the funerals. They would carry signs that, you know, glad he's dead, glad she's dead, wish more would die, you know, terrible things like that. So these two actual Legion members in Kansas got together, decided they needed to do something to protect the families and protect the veteran who was deceased from these people who was demonstrating and being really nasty. And that's a little bit how the Patriot Guard got started. And like I said, we're in all 50 states. Of course, some states are bigger; they have more members and everything. But I'm really proud to be a member of them.
And I know you call riders, don't you? Ride a motorcycle. And is it all
Right.
motorcycles? Or?
And that's one. There's two things that people think that they have to be a member of the Patriot Guard Riders. You do not have to be a member, or don't have to be a military member. You don't have to be in public safety at all. You can be just a regular civilian who wants to pay honor and respect to the fallen veteran. That's
so
all
cool.
they have to be. They do not have to own or ride a motorcycle. A lot of us do, but there's others that drive pickups, cars, Jeeps, just so you can get there.
Well,
And
Dave, one of your titles is chaplain. You know,
Right.
and I want to change gear a little bit more. Tell us how you ever got to be the
Well-
chaplain and ride captain besides.
oh, man of many hats.
Yeah.
The state of Iowa is different to a point that from other states that we have a state chaplain. Some states don't, but Iowa does have a state chaplain, and his name is Ray Needham. Lives in Waverly. Just a swell guy. After a while, I was on the Patriot Guard for 5 or 6 years, and I've always gone to church type of thing, and I walked up to him one day at an honor mission or a funeral. That's what we call a funeral, is an honor mission. And I asked Ray about, is there any chance I could maybe fill in as a chaplain sometime? He says, glad to have you if we can, let me see how it goes. So anyway, it was about a year later, I got a phone call in the evening from Ray, and he says, I've got a position open for chaplain in the Northeast Iowa district. The state of Iowa is divided up in fourths: Northeast, Northwest, Southeast, Southwest. And we have a chaplain position open. Would you like to take that? And I said, I'd be honored to. So he appointed me as a chaplain for the Northeast Iowa district, and each district has numerous chaplains, maybe 3 or 4 to fill in.
Right.
Well, I was cruising along with that title, doing what chaplains do at honor missions, for the families and for the members. And then one afternoon again, I got another phone call, and it was my senior ride captain, who is head of the Northeast Iowa section. Each section has a senior ride captain, kind of like a, staff, type, go up there. And he called me. He says, Dave, he says, I'm putting your name in as a ride captain. And I said, no, you don't want to. No, I'm happy being a chaplain, because when you get to be a ride captain, you have to work with the funeral directors to get funeral plans set for that day, for flag lines, for escorts, plaques, flags. And I said, that's quite a bit of work. He said, no, he says, just try it. So I tried it. And that was back, I was appointed a chaplain in 2016 and promoted to ride captain in 2018, but I was still holding a chaplain position also. So I carry 2 hats that way.
When you guys were escorting the 9/11 truck, and I was through Farmers Day, I was at the meeting where everybody's getting going, and the ride captain was telling everybody, this is how we're going to do it, and very much into safety. And I was very impressed by just, you got to do this, then this, then this, and you will not do this, 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 and this. I mean, it was very,
Right.
whether you could ride with them even if you weren't in the guard, but you had to follow their rules and go with
Yes.
them. And so I was very impressed with how much thought had gone into it and how prepared he was to get this group of people to
And-
escort this truck down the highway.
And that's the simplicity of it, is safety. We always call those safety briefings. And with that group, like we had, it was a lot of people, a lot of motorcycles who maybe haven't ridden in formations before. So you want to make sure they know what they're doing. And if they stray away from that, somebody will come up to them and say, you're out, because you've got to stay safe and be staggered in the procession, and this type of thing. So it's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah. So are you looking for members, and how does one go about
Yeah, we're
volunteering for this
always
group?
always looking for members to to join the Patriot Guard Riders. We're not a club. We're not a motorcycle club. There's no meetings, no dues. You
It's
just
all
like,
kind of group, isn't it?
Yeah.
you know, it's just if you're interested in joining and just being there for honor and respect for the family and the veteran that we're honoring, that's all we ask. Just be there to honor and pay respect to them.
Okay.
So, do you mind if we give your number to our
No,
audience?
that'd be fine. And if you have time, I could tell you a little bit more what we do, other than just funeral
That'd be fine.
processions. We also assist in a big way with the honor flights coming in to the Waterloo Airport.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
We're always there with a flag line to welcome the veterans as they get off their plane. So we're busy with the honor flights.
Yeah.
You'll always see us there right at the entrance when they come off the plane into the terminal. Patriot Guard is there. And we also help out with the Veterans Home in Marshalltown at Christmas. We collect new clothes for the people who stay there. We put on a show for them, type of thing. This last year I was the chaplain in charge there, so I had a couple prayers to lift up with the people there. But and we help lay wreaths out there, wreaths across America. We help lay wreaths at the cemetery there in Marshalltown for the veterans.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more than just going to funerals and this type of thing.
Okay.
And it's really, and if you get on www.patriotguard.org, that'll explain a whole lot of information on what we do and how we do it and everything. But I've got cards to give out, and if anybody ever wants to call me or stop by the house, I'll be more than happy to talk to them about it, because it's a great organization, men and women.
And are these numbers right, Dave? They are. Your home number is 319-827-2663, or your cell number is 319-493-0292. Again, the home number is 319-827-2663, and the cell is 319-493-0292.
Yes, and I would prefer the cell phone number, the 493-0292, because I've always got my phone with me.
Okay.
And like I said, we wear leather stuff. This is mainly for safety if we happen to go down on a motorcycle, but everybody wears leathers type of thing. Mainly it's a safety thing. But it's really, I've been on the other side of the honor mission. A few weeks ago, my father-in-law passed away, and when we pulled into the parking lot of the funeral home there, and I saw 15 motorcycles from the Patriot Guard there, the tears came.
Yeah.
And these guys are guys and women. I call them my brothers and sisters. Mm-hmm. They are just a wonderful group of people, and they look burly, some of them, and everything. But by golly, they'll give you the shirt off their back anytime.
Cool.
Okay. Are you done? So. Yeah. Thank you very much for coming here. We got a lot of information out of you. We really appreciate it.
It's been an honor here, and if you ever like me to come back, talk about the Patriot Guard or anything. One thing if I may just add to it, this next month in June, it's called Last Salute, and that's where funeral homes take urns from unclaimed veterans. Somebody's left them in a house, in an attic, wherever. We've got one or two in Waterloo, and down in Des Moines at Hamilton's funeral home, they have like 6. What we're going to do as Patriot Guard Raiders, we're going to escort the urns from Waterloo down to Des Moines, and so they'll have at least 6 to 8 urns there of unclaimed veterans. we will escort them to the Iowa Veterans Cemetery and bury each one of them that way.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So it's really, really special because they don't have families and they've been forgotten for some reason or other. But anyway,
You read about that every now and then.
that's what we do.
Yeah. Sounds great to me. Thank you, Dave, for
Thank you.
coming in.
Thank
I
you.
really
I appreciate it.
Dale, why don't we talk about the winners and losers of the week?
Okay.
If you want to start with the losers, go ahead.
Well, I got a loser. This is in today's Des Moines, Waterloo Courier, I'm sorry. And it's about our congressman. And they have passed a bill and sent it to the governor that would eliminate state funding for water quality sensors on Iowa's rivers and streams. And I know the last, survey's the right word, I read was that Iowa has like the first or second or third dirtiest water in the country, statewide. And I had a professor, first year I was in college, this would have been in the fall of '69, and he said there will come a day when fresh water will cost more, a gallon of fresh water will cost more than a gallon of milk or a gallon of gasoline. And I think we're getting, to that point. But the thing that bothered me that they have some of these in place where they're monitoring the cleanness, the clarity of the water, but that the person who pushed this bill is Senator Dan Zumbach, and he has a son-in-law who has an 11,600 cattle feeding operation right next to Bloody Run Creek up in northeast Iowa. Very clean, it's a trout stream, clear, clean water. And it just seems to me like whether it's bad or not, it certainly looks bad. And we were talking about Caesar's wife a little while ago, that you have to, should be no doubt about, you should be above suspicion. And I think if you're in the legislature, you should be above suspicion that what you're doing is to benefit yourself or someone that is either paying you or related to you or this sort of thing. And I see no reason why we shouldn't be looking at our water and trying to find out how dirty it is so that we can take measures to clean it. And for something to look so blatantly political to me, I just think that's a losing proposition for our state. And so that's my loser of the week. I just very upset. But I've been watching this bill for, since they came into session, and it has passed, and I have no doubts the governor will sign it because it's, $500,000 to monitor the water, which, if you look at it, it's not very much for, our state. So
if you look, if you and I were talking fishing before we went on air tonight, and if you look at the Iowa outdoor handbook for fishermen and hunters, it talks about the Wapsie and how you're only supposed to eat one to two fish out of the Wapsie per week.
Yeah.
Because there's so much mercury in the water.
They have the same warnings in Minnesota out of their lakes way to the north about not eating too much fresh fish. I think you eat more than one a week, but it's still, they have a warning about that. And so that stuff is everywhere.
Yeah, and, we've messed it up, Dave.
Yeah, we really have. And they're at one of the rest stops in Minnesota along the interstate. They have plaques up, talking about history. And they talk about this man, but in Minnesota, they thought they had enough trees to last over 100 years, and within just a very few, they'd cut every one of them down, the old growth forests. And there's a man, I can't remember his name, I'm sorry, that got a movement going to replant the state. And so all of those trees, or almost all of them, are new. They're not the old growth that was there, 200 years ago.
Yeah.
But he said it was amazingly how fast those 100 years worth of trees were cut down, and just boom, a year or two, they were all gone. And so no one, I know there's several politicians that hate regulations and everything, but if there were not regulations, there wouldn't be a fish in the ocean or a tree anywhere to find it. It'd all be gone, and the ground would be all tore up looking for gold and never reclaimed or anything. And so people in their search for wealth, have got to be kept in check somewhat.
Yep.
Otherwise, it ruins it for the whole world, for everybody. So, okay, that was my little speech.
My losers are, and you talked about our legislators a little bit there and last week, but I went to our Jesup Public Library to see. I knew they wouldn't have the Bohemian Manifesto, in our library, but I wanted to get it in interlibrary loan. And I was told that it is not possible. She didn't say banned, but she politely put it that she politely
Which you could not get it.
said I couldn't get it. So I started my Amazon addiction by buying that off Amazon. Ordered it on Saturday and got it today. Actually,
Okay. Do you remember? Did they have a lot of copies available, or sometimes they tell you how many?
There wasn't very many.
Okay.
There wasn't very. I got a new one was $54, and I got this one for $3.29.
All right, what a bargain.
Yeah. But one of our board members, Kara Masteller, loves this book, and I was telling her about that it's been banned, and the banning of books by our legislators is my loser of the week.
Yeah. I agree, because the banned books are the best ones to read.
Yes.
And every high school kid will tell you that, is you put banned in Boston. It used to be the Boston Puritans would ban a book or ban a movie and it become a bestseller right away. And no, I agree. You see people wearing shirts that I only read banned books. And some of the best books.
So Dale, who's your winner of the week?
I don't have a winner. I tried to think of a winner this week, but I don't know who's doing well or who isn't doing well. I'm sorry, I don't have anybody to talk about. So
for me, the city of Miami is a giant winner this week, as the Panthers defeated Boston. The number 8 seed Panthers, who barely made it into the hockey playoffs.
Okay, I was going to ask you, what sport is that? So, hockey. Okay, all I know is the Boston Bruins and the Chicago Blackhawks.
And everybody was talking about the Boston Bruins being possibly the greatest hockey team of all time. Had the Panthers down 3-1 in a 7-game series, and the Panthers won 3 games in a row to win the series.
Okay.
And then the Miami Heat, who barely made it into the playoffs and were the 8th seed in the NBA playoffs, played last year's world champion Milwaukee Bucks and beat them 4-2 in 6 games. Both winning the series this week. So the city of Miami is this week's winner.
Okay. Well, ever since that Jacksonville game in '69 we talked about, I have no love for any Florida team, so I can't call them winners, no. But I understand what you're saying. So.
All right. Well, do you have any updates on Farmers Day?
Nothing more than what I gave you, the last 2 weeks. We have not had any additional meetings yet, and so everything is chugging along very fine. And on my cemetery road project, I have a call into the Board of Supervisors. They have not gotten back to me yet, and so I give them 2 days. So I'll call them again tomorrow and see what happens.
Well, Dale, I'm going to jump on that bandwagon and talk about what you talked about off air a little bit. I like your idea of it being paved from Hawley all the way around past both cemeteries and up North Street.
Yeah.
I like that idea a lot. And Rachel, our guest last week, talked about having paths.
A flat, because the roads are crowned.
Right.
And so when you walk on the streets, you're kind of like this. It's like the little shepherd boy going up the mountain or whatever.
Right.
And it does hurt after a while.
It does.
And so I look, you look for places to walk that are more level.
Right.
And but some of you can't avoid all of it. But yeah, we talked about paving that going on Hawley Street onto it's 215th, I think, out to Carter and then past the cemetery to the north to the hooked whatever that street is, it hooked up with South Street or with North Street and back into town, and then having a running path along the side of it, a running path, bike path, whatever, and it would be wonderful recreational opportunity for people in Jesup because walking the track is fine. I walk the track, but you are just going around that oval, 20 times or whatever, and it's nice to get out in the countryside and hear the birds sing. And so I think that would be a great idea.
That would be.
As soon as you win the lotto, why?
Well, it is. Perhaps we'll say something to Mr. Bishop when we interview him tonight.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
The news from Cowork 591, a food truck Wednesday from 11 until 2 is the Caribbean Kitchen. That's the 10th on this Wednesday.
The last two, and one of them got a burrito. You couldn't believe how big that was. And then I guess it was a cheeseburger, I guess, but just a sandwich in the burrito. But both of them were very good.
Okay.
And so it's amazing what they can get out of that little bitty wagon or whatever it's called, food truck, I guess.
And that burrito, the Burritos Express, is back again on the 15th of this month. And also the Casserole Kitchen that was here last Friday is back.
Now, that sounded like my mother's kitchen was the Casserole Kitchen. So.
Yeah. Those were the times. So
I've never seen that. I wonder what they'll have. I'd just be interesting to know.
Yeah, stop in and find out.
I will.
Dale, I want to talk this week a little bit about conspiracy theories.
What did you find out?
Well, that there's a lot of them. There's hundreds of them out there, Dale.
Yeah.
The black helicopters, for example, where the government supposedly can sneak in anywhere they want to in black helicopters.
Yeah.
Chemtrails that are sprayed out of the back of jets up in the air. Those trails that follow the jets in the air supposedly are being sprayed over us. There's another one. Malaysia airline flight MH370, the one that disappeared and
I'm
was
sure
never
there's lots
found.
about that.
Yeah, there is a lot. New Coca-Cola. The argument was to make Coke cheaper was one theory. Another one was they just wanted to sell more Coke. Was another theory.
Well, they only have like 2 cents in every bottle. How would you make it any cheaper? And all right.
Israel animal spying. The Israelis using animals to spy on people. Oh. You realize how hard that is to train a cat to spy on people.
I think you can't train a cat to do anything.
Oh, you can.
Okay.
There is.
These are all new to me.
There is one. Malayla Yousafzai. She was the Pakistani girl that was shot in the head. And the Taliban started the conspiracy theory that one of Hollywood's stars led a black op group and shot Malayla rather than the Taliban.
Okay.
Yes. Then, of course, the Sandy Hook school shooting in U.S. 2012 was one that was brought up. That's supposedly another
a sick one.
Yeah, it is a very sick one. And the theory that the Clintons killed over 50 of their staff members and followers is another theory. But Dale, one of my favorites to talk about is the John F. Kennedy assassination conspiracy theory.
Mine too.
Do you believe that Lee Harvey Oswald acted on his own?
Well, the shooting was fantastic, and he had a very cheap rifle, and I understand it was a bolt action, so it wasn't an automatic. And for him to make those shots, because I think he's just an average Marine Corps shooter, for him to make those shots is very improbable to me, and to people that look at it that way. So I don't know. It was either everything was going just right for him, or that day as a marksman, or it had to be somebody else. But I cannot believe that they haven't figured out if it was something else. It had to be somewhere where people could see something or hear something, and so it's hard for me to believe that he didn't do it, I guess, because it's the most logical explanation with the information they have right now. So,
there's a lot of theories out there, Dale. There's one theory that the Russians did it. There's another theory that the Cubans did it. There's another theory the Mafia did it. There's another theory that the CIA did it.
Yeah.
That Lyndon Baines Johnson did it.
Well, who benefits? That's the old thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can talk a minute. I don't know if you've ever driven in the middle of the night, like 2 a.m. and an AM radio, and the talk shows they have on there are kind of interesting. One guy one night talked for an hour and a half about how inoculations were terrible. They were another conspiracy theory. The shots you were getting. But this man they were interviewing claimed to be part of the Mafia, and he claimed to be part of the team that worked to kill Kennedy. And what he said was that Joe Kennedy, Jack's father, was involved in bootlegging back during Prohibition, and so he was in with the mob. And Jack needed help getting elected president, especially needed work in Chicago to get those votes, and that put him over the top to win. And so the mob agreed. Joe Kennedy went to the mob. They agreed to provide the votes to make Jack president. In return, Joe said, Jack will get Cuba back for you, because the mob had a lot of presence in Cuba, a lot of casinos, and that's where they hid a lot of their money. And they had a large presence in Cuba, and they were very unhappy when Castro kicked them out with the revolution. So Joe said, Jack will get Cuba back for you if you make him president. And so that was the agreement. Well, then we had the Bay of Pigs fiasco, and nothing went right, and Jack kind of gave up on the whole thing. And so that made the mob very irritated, and so they went after Jack and killed him because of that. And this guy was saying that Oswald was just like a diversion, but there were he and a couple other guys, and he says everything's buried out in the desert, all the evidence, and so that was his thing. And he also said that Marilyn Monroe, Jack had an affair with Marilyn Monroe while he was president, and Marilyn was pretty sure that Jack was going to divorce Jackie, his wife, and marry her, and she was beginning to be a pain about the whole thing, and so that Jack turned to Bobby to take care of it, and Bobby is actually the one who went and made sure that Marilyn died in her hotel room, and everything was covered up very quickly, and she was buried, and that was it. And so he had a lot of thoughts, but he's saying basically the mob was responsible for this to get even with the Kennedys because they did not fulfill their bargain with the mob. So,
I'm sure you remember, and I talked about this before you joined our podcast, Dale. We talked about our earliest memories, and maybe you and I talked about that.
Yeah, we did talk about that.
And Kennedy was assassinated in November of '63. Mm-hmm. And Dale, I swear to God, I remember that. I'd have been 2 years old.
Yeah, no, I remember. I was coming out of I had PE class. And I was coming out of the locker room, and a guy named Larry Moore, I'd known him all my life, was coming in, and he said, "Did you hear that Kennedy got shot?" And I just, oh yeah, like, what else are you going to tell me,
Right.
And so, because I know later on he told people that I laughed when I heard that Kennedy was shot. Well, I laughed at the ad. I just thought it was an absurd thing he was messing with. But I remember then going to the locker in the books, going to class, and the principal came on the intercom and told us that he actually had been shot. But I remember originally coming out of that locker room and him telling me that and not believing it. I just couldn't imagine that could happen. So.
Well, and then to make matters even worse, that was on a Friday, and they were moving Lee Harvey Oswald out of the Dallas Police Department to another place, and Jack Ruby stepped forward and shot Lee Harvey Oswald just outside in the garage there live on television.
Yeah.
Live on television.
The police were doing everything wrong.
Yeah.
But then Jack Ruby conveniently got killed in jail before he could talk very much, right?
Was he killed or did he die of cancer?
Oh, okay. I don't know. But I thought he died right after that. I need a drink. Which leads you to believe that maybe if he was dying, he knew he had cancer.
Right.
He would agree to go ahead and do all that if there was a payoff to someone, someplace. I mean, you could come up with your own conspiracy theory just on that, that there was a payoff there. So I don't know, but he never really talked, did he? He never really said
He didn't.
why he did it, and then he died shortly after that. And so
his statement when he did it originally was to save Jackie the suffering of the trial.
yeah,
That was an early statement, but then when he was in jail or when he was in prison, he claimed that other people controlled him, like you said.
yeah.
So
Yeah, no, it's hard to figure out what compels someone to kill like that, but a lot, and we still have this today, man. People want to get on TV. And they don't care how.
Right.
But they want to get on TV, and so I have to get a drink.
Yeah, well, that'll give me a chance to do some public service announcements. Don't forget, come join the Steve Brown Arts Center and Jesup Community Rec Department for a week of musical theater camp at the Jesup Park Pavilion. Campers will learn the process of putting on a musical in just 1 week. As a group, we will design the sets, props, and costumes, and also star in the show. Camp ends with a performance for friends and family. The dates are July 24th through the 27th from 9 until 2, and July 28th from 9 until 5 with a performance at 4 o'clock. Register using the QR code. Spots are limited to the first 25 registrants. If you're interested or you haven't got these, contact me and I can forward this to you. I know Blake now is having this put on YouTube. I woke up in the night and I was on YouTube one night, so that's how I realized that Blake had put it on YouTube.
So is it going home from the schools yet, or?
Yeah, it has.
Okay.
It has.
And like a piece of paper like that, or?
No, they emailed it.
Okay.
They emailed it. All aspiring actors need to be ages 6 to 13, and the cost is $200. But that's an incredible deal for 6 hours a day or 5 hours a day of camp, of summer camp.
And there's scholarships available.
There are
scholarships, and
yes.
The people doing this they're professionals. Well, my daughter and her husband, but they do this as a profession in Michigan. But they are coming here. They don't work. They're volunteering, mainly because my daughter's from Jesup, and they don't want to support the Steve Brown movement. And so, if you have kids, I encourage you. Whatever your situation is, sign them up, and the camperships are available, and they'd love to work with your kids no matter what situation they have. And the price kind of, you have to have something involved from yourself, instead of, because if you're going to put on a play, you got to have the kids there every day. Yeah. And so if you have a little skin in the game, then you're going to be there.
It's more than fair, Dale.
Yeah.
It's more than fair.
So I encourage you, because your kids will love it, and these are people that know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so
don't forget, free suicide prevention training is Monday, May 22nd, 2023, from 6 to 8 o'clock p.m. at the Jesup Bible Fellowship, 152 South Street in Jesup, Iowa. And Thursday, May 25th, 2023, 6 o'clock till 8 o'clock at Cowork 591 on 591 Young Street in Jesup, Iowa. Reserve your spot now. Call Ryan R. Nesbitt, reserve you at 641-990-4957 or email him at ryan.r.nesbit@gmail.com. That's Ryan, RYAN.R.NESBIT@gmail.com or call him at 641-990-4957.
There's been several public service announcements on television lately about May being Mental Health Month, and they're really looking into mental health a lot because of the shootings. We're trying to combine the two, but I remember my daughter Heather worked at Camp Courageous, and they would have, I used to call them, the disease of the week or whatever, but campers come in, and she said the worst for her were people who had grown up and perfectly normal and everything and had some kind of trauma, like the bicycle went down, they hit their head on the curb or whatever, and whenever the mental part never came back. Mm-hmm. And she said it was so hard to work with them because they knew that they had known this stuff, but now all at once it was gone. They couldn't do it anymore. Right. And they had the knowledge that it was there, but they just couldn't get it out. And she said it was very discouraging for these campers, and trying hard to let them have a good experience at Camp Courageous.
Yeah.
And so mental health problems can happen to anybody at any time, no matter what you are now. All it takes is one little trauma, mm-hmm. one trip, one fall, one hit at the wrong spot, and you could be in that position. And we need more programs to help people, I think, because it's out there and it's waiting for all of us at one time or another. And yep. So I make jokes about Alzheimer's, that kind of thing, but it's nothing to joke about. It's very serious stuff. And when you start playing with people's minds, it's hard to understand. And most of us don't know how to help them, but I think we probably could learn more than we know now. So
in happier news,
okay.
No, that's all right.
Mr. Depressing.
No, and I was listening to a show this morning about this. Someone said, "Well, I ended up having to go to therapy." Mm-hmm. Well, it is. Therapy is like having to go to the doctor.
Well, sure.
You just have to go to the doctor.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, be it a mental illness or a physical illness, yep. Therapy is not a bad thing, and our society has to realize that.
Yeah, I think it does. So.
Don't forget, Littleton Free Watermelon Days is Saturday, singular. Is July 29th, 2023 from noon to 8 o'clock. Music by Belvins and Powers, Chet Reagan music with Mandy McCleary, the Bad Habits Band, artists Bruce Gordon, Helen Hunter, and Barb Prawl will be there. Vendors, the Jesup Lions Club, Boyd's Food Truck, and Totally Rolled Ice Cream, Northeast Iowa. There'll be free watermelon there for everyone. Sponsors include the Littleton Lounge, Reyes Concrete, Littleton Chatham Historical Society, Jacobson's Fabrication and Repair, LLC, Dream Chaser Acres, Boyd's Food Truck, Jesup Lions Club. The Independence High School FFA is supplying the free watermelon. Thomas James, LLC, is supplying a free dumpster. Mm-hmm. Totally Rolled Ice Cream, I wish was supplying free ice cream, Dale.
Yeah, well.
But they are donating to the Steve Brown Arts Center. And then Even Events and Rental, the mayor was in talking about this a couple weeks ago, is supplying a couple stages and some other things.
Okay.
That is presented by the Steve Brown Arts Center.
Is Blake going to be there parking cars or anything? Or
if we can talk him into singing one or two songs.
Some people are so hard to get along with.
They are. We at the Steve Brown Arts Center are incredibly proud to say we have 35 days of events this coming summer.
That's wonderful.
It includes Independence Farmers Market, Art in the Park, 5 days. It includes the theater camp, Littleton Free Watermelon Day, a youth talent show in the Land of Corn Pavilion from 12 until 1:30, and then Farmers Day as well. So we're proud to say at least 30 days of events, and we are also going to go to the libraries in Buchanan County and record some StoryCorps stories that can be put in the Library of Congress. So those are some other events. Don't forget the Steve Brown Arts Center is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that has a vision for artists, young and old alike, to have the opportunity to better themselves while helping to build the skills of those around them. The long-range vision is to house a rural artist residency program for professional emerging artists in all areas of the arts and humanities. Through the 1990s and early 2000s, Jesup was world-renowned for its Artists in Residence program, and the Steve Brown Arts Center would like to help return to that illustrious time. You can follow us on our website at stevebrownartscenter.org, on Facebook, or on Twitter, and our new site at Instagram at Steve Brown Arts Center. If you would like to donate to the Steve Brown Arts Center or have an idea for an event, go to stevebrownartscenter.org and follow the link. If you have news or would like to sponsor us, email us at jim@stevebrownartscenter.org or call 319-290-0241. That email is new. Let me say it again. That's jim@stevebrownartscenter.org or call 319-290-0241 and leave a message. If you know the answer to Dale's 2 trivia questions, you can text me, email me, or call me. Or if you see Dale on the street, tell him.
Following Sunday is going to be Mother's Day. Did you know that?
Okay.
Okay. And I know it's different because I lost my mother when I was 20, and I know your mother lived a long time past that. And my mother she was 41 when I was born, so she was an older, and so I had older parents because my dad was even older than that. And when your mother dies when you're 20 and you're only there, I was 18 years and then I was gone,
right,
in California. But you think you're going to learn a lot from your mother later on, when you're both adults and you talk things over and this sort of thing. And when that goes away unexpectedly, there's a lot of stuff you don't know about your parents and this sort of thing that your mother would know that your father maybe wouldn't talk to you about. And so I always feel bad for people that lose their mother at an early age. And I know that your mother lived till how old was she?
She lived till she was 85. But like yours, my mother gave birth to me at 39.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and she was an older lady.
Yeah, because I have a brother 2 years younger than I am too, and I have brothers 10 years older. So it's like they had 2 families.
Right.
But so I wished I would have a lot of things I didn't do that I wish I would have done, because I didn't know she was going to die so young. So
if you would like to donate to the Steve Brown Arts Center, have an idea for an event, go to stevebrownartscenter.org and follow the link. I'm Jim Gillespie. Thanks to co-host Dale Rueber, our producers, Blake Tempus, and Kelly Seahas at Cowork 591 Studios. Remember, each day is about little victories.